Well, welcome to Pastor's Chat today. We're looking at Psalm 55. Remember yesterday we talked about how Psalm 55 is one of the four Psalms of the Maskil Psalms that David has written at this time. And this one in particular is dealing with the situation that's taken place when Absalom tried to take over the kingdom. And his friend Ahithophel has sided with Absalom, and now David's heart is broken. He's fleeing for his life with his men as he leaves Jerusalem. And he writes this psalm from the depths of his heart and the pain that he's feeling. This reminds us of so many of us today as we face the trials and tribulations and troubles in our lives, and we wonder, how can I face this? And David in this psalm, as we said yesterday in verse 6, he said, "Oh, that I had wings like a dove, I'd fly away and be at rest. Indeed, I would wander far off and remain in the wilderness." Selah. He wished it would just all go away. But David doesn't live in denial. So he shares first, he's going to pray, he's going to cry aloud to God as he faces this challenge, this trouble. He's going to look within, and he sees his heart is in pain, as he says in the first verses. He does want to leave. He wants to run off like we do. But then David is a realist. He looks at the circumstances. Have you ever known people, and I sure have, that they're so positive they don't even recognize there's any problems. They don't deal with the problems because they just simply deny the problems. They live in denial. David did not live in denial. He looks at the circumstances that are very real, that are going on around him. And that's verse 9. He says, "Destroy, O Lord, and divide their tongues. For I have seen violence and strife in the city. Day and night they go around it on its walls. Iniquity and trouble are also in the midst of it. Destruction is in its midst. Oppression and deceit do not depart from its streets. For it was not an enemy who reproaches me, then I could bear it. Nor is one who hates me who has exalted himself against me, then I could hide from him. But it was you, a man my equal, my companion and my acquaintance. We took sweet counsel together and walked to the house of God in the throng. Let death seize them. Let them go down alive into hell, for wickedness is in their dwelling and among them." And so as you hear David's heart, and he looks at the situation in the city, violence, he talks about corruption, iniquity, trouble, oppression, deceit, do not depart from it. Boy, don't that remind you today of what we're facing in our country? We see it on every hand, all around us. Our heart breaks. We cry out to God, "Oh God, please, you see this. Do something about it." David then recalls how his friend Ahithophel has turned against him and sided with those who are trying to run him out, trying to destroy him, trying to kill him. You can't trust anybody, you feel like. And that's where David was at this point. And then it seems like he even gets angry here, and he says, "Let death seize them. Let them go down alive into hell, for wickedness is in their dwelling and among them." Maybe he's remembered back in the book of Numbers, Korah, Dathan, and Abiram, and how they rebelled against Moses, and how Moses said, "Okay, we're going to see who today is really the one that God has called to lead the people." And you remember they were at OK Corral that day, and the ground opened up and swallowed up these three men, and they went down with their families into the pit. And that's maybe what David has in mind. Let them go alive into hell. And that's what happened with those three men. And David is saying, "Oh, I wish that would happen to those around us." But my friend, David also in verses 20 and 21 talks again about how Ahithophel, how hard it hurt. He has put forth his hands against those who are at peace with him. He has broken his covenant. The words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. His words were softer than oil, yet they were drawn swords. And so you can just see the heart of David. He looks at the circumstances, and of course it's discouraging, but David still is going to call upon the Lord. As we see in that last verses, cast your burden upon the Lord and he will sustain you. And my friend, today the Lord will sustain you no matter what the circumstances are. You have to be real. You have to look at them. You have to acknowledge them. But my friend, you can still remember who God is and how he'll help you. God bless you, and you have a wonderful, wonderful day.